Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. TAPS is especially appropriate tonight because we have just learned the United States COVID-19 death toll has surpassed 100,000. It also comes as Kentucky reached some grim milestones today. We just heard from Governor Andy Beshear. He announced 127 new cases today and 6 new deaths from the coronavirus. At least 9,077 Kentuckians have contracted the virus, so we went above 9,000 today, and the death toll now sits at 400. We also learned of the very first case today in Lee County, Kentucky. Well, shortly before the briefing began, we also learned of new guidance for Kentucky superintendents from state health officials. The guidance paints a picture of what students could expect when they begin the new school year. The Kentucky Department of Public Health said students who do not have any health issues should wear masks along with their teachers. Health officials also suggested that students be limited to one classroom with teachers rotating to teach each group. Students who use the school bus should also be seated 6 feet apart or placed in every other seat. And we also learned that some superintendents told the DPH today that those suggestions are not feasible. Now, we have a list of these guidelines on our website now at WYMT.com. Across the Commonwealth, we are seeing some businesses close their doors for good, but others are using this time to start a new one. McQueen & Company Salon in London had been up and running for only a week or so in their new building when COVID-19 prompted regulations that closed their business. They had only 2 people working at the time, and they worried what would happen. Now the salon is back, and they say the amount of business they've had in the last couple of days is almost unreal.
You know, it was heartbreaking. It was a little discouraging, but, you know, I just figured, you know, the Lord has brought me this far, and I said, you know, with His will, you know, if it's meant to be, you know, we'll find a way, we'll keep the doors open, and we'll come back better than ever, and that's what happened. I mean, He does tenfold in all of this.
Owner Katie McQueen says she started this business for her daughter. The salon is operating under the state and CDC guidelines. With many businesses having to shut down or are seeing a decrease in business during COVID-19, one that has continued to thrive is landscaping and greenhouses. WYMT's Madison program takes us to a local greenhouse to tell us what they have experienced during the pandemic.
It might seem quiet as plants get watered at Creekside Gardens, but the quiet does not last for long.
As far as business, it's been overwhelming. We've actually hired more employees. We're continuing to look for more employees.
During the pandemic, business has boomed for Jason O'Bannon, the owner, as he tries to keep up with demand.
I think people staying at home these days want to do things around their house. They look at their landscape. We've been wanting to do this for years. Let's get someone out. Let's look.
Flowers and plants fly off the shelves.
Annuals you can put in pots, hanging baskets, decorate their front porch.
As customers look to spice up their home.
With the economy a little uncertain, it's still not deterred people from saying, hey, let's invest in the home, let's put a new patio, let's install a fire pit.
And O'Bannon is not the only one experiencing such high demand.
They've never seen anything like it, and we've talked to people who've been in the business for 40 years.
Continuing to thank the customers that walk through their gates.
Since we're so small, we're fortunate to be thriving during this.
Providing some color, life, and beauty to a place many now spend most of their time, home. In London, Madison Pergram, WYMT Mountain News.
O'Bannon says that his busy season is usually from the end of February or beginning of March until Memorial Day weekend, but he says people are still coming in looking at plants for their homes. Just more than 3,000 Kentuckians have recovered from COVID-19, including Gary Abbott, a former educator and court bailiff from Wayne County. This is video released yesterday from Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital in Somerset. I believe the governor highlighted this earlier as well. Abbott went in the hospital on March 18th with coronavirus symptoms, tested positive, and then spent 70 days there, 25 on a ventilator. Abbott is now in a rehabilitation unit. As he left, he said, quote, "I'm here because God wants me to do something, to give other people encouragement. When it looks like it's over, heavy-duty prayer is what helps. May 10th was the day a federal judge allowed in-person church services in Kentucky to resume. Had the original plan stayed in place, it would have been May 20th for Kentuckians. While some are back, others are being a little more meticulous in how they return to worship. WYMT's Will Puckett has more.
Ben Fugit almost cannot hold his excitement.
I'm pumped. I'm so pumped. I'm ready to preach. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, you know, I'm gonna preach the hardwood up.
Fugit is the pastor of Hazard's Journey Christian Church, and he sees his sanctuary turned upside down these days as they put social distancing measures into place.
Maybe everybody who wants to come initially can't, and that's not just because of seating capacity, but maybe there's people with underlying issues, or they're in that vulnerable population. So it is heartbreaking, but at the same time, I think that it really creates a perspective for the church, a hunger to be back in the house of God and to value it once they're there.
Throughout the past 2 months, Fugit and his church utilized live streams and other means to get parishioners their weekly message.
Luckily for us, we've always done a live feed, so a lot of the things that we did, or the nature of it, was already in place. But to keep people interested and to keep it separate from what everyone else was doing, we did have to get creative.
But this week, Fugit laid down a tape measure and measured out exactly 6 feet between his pews. So come Sunday, they'll have a new look.
We knew it was going to look different. When I heard the 6 foot measurements, you know, I knew that was going to look different. I didn't know how different until I saw it.
While not normal, Fugit sees this as a way to reconnect and get back to business.
I just think that our church is in a lot better position now than it was before, spiritually, mentally, about what matters most.
A business of connecting people to a higher power. In Hazard, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
In addition to those spaced out pews, there will be social distancing ushers making sure spaces and seats are being left open. Masks are not required, but highly encouraged. A little less than 2 weeks ago, Governor Beshear said most state parks would reopen June 1st in an effort to revive tourism in the Commonwealth. But 4 state parks, including Buckhorn Lake State Resort Park in Perry County, will remain closed to park visitors. These parks are being used to house COVID-19 patients who do not require hospitalization. Gil Lawson, a spokesperson for Kentucky State Park, says he understands the frustration, but doing this is necessary.
It's unfortunate, but everyone is making sacrifices, and state parks are located all around the state. So they've been able to be used for this.
Areas closed include the beach, trails, shelters, and picnic areas. The marina is still open and accessible. We will have more on this tonight at 11. Like many entertainment venues, the Appalachian Wireless Arena in Pikeville remains closed. Without events, the arena is having a hard time making money. But instead of looking at all the events the area is losing, they are trying to look ahead. WYMT's Tommy Poole has more.
The box office closed.
We're canceling shows or we're postponing. It was something that I don't think anyone out there has ever experienced.
Venues like the Appalachian Wireless Arena in Pikeville sit empty with no return date in sight.
We get our joy out of booking events and seeing people in the stands, so I think we all kind of took a hit.
But that does not mean the staff sits idle.
We just felt like if we did nothing, that would just put us further behind when things do open up.
The arena is working on their schedule for 2021, hoping to get acts back that were canceled, but also not losing hope on the rest of the year.
Right now, we're still talking to promoters about fall dates. They may not happen.
General Manager Paul Bowles thinks the Appalachian Wireless Arena could return to hosting events before places like Rupp Arena.
It's a lot easier to manage and track 5,000 people than it is 20,000.
And he hopes the acts could be bigger.
We're hoping that some of those bigger names that normally wouldn't play Pikeville because we're too small of a building, they need to work too. So maybe we'll pick up a few of those dates.
As far as if fans are willing to return to crowds, the arena has a poll out on social media.
95% of them are ready to come back. They want to do live events. It's important to them.
When the arena is allowed to reopen, he says they will be ready. In Pikeville, Tommy Poole, WYMT Mountain News.
I, for one, will be glad to see concerts happening again. The arena is also holding a tournament-style bracket on social media, pairing many acts that have played in Pikeville and asking for the fans' favorite.
Scattered showers and storms going to continue over the next couple of days, but this weekend looking a lot nicer and we'll see more sunshine. I'll have more details on that coming up in a little.
And one Eastern Kentucky business owner hopes you can help vandals or catch vandals who targeted them during their time of need.